Hello, and welcome to the Magick Moments podcast with myself, Dan Harvey, and my wife, Kizzy Harvey. In these podcasts, we seek to discuss, debate, and learn about the things that truly matter. These conversations are meant for a mature audience, as is the language. If you have a delicate mentality or sensitive ears, you may be triggered. All views expressed here are our own opinions, even when quoting facts, and we do not expect you to take what is said here at face value. All information should be critically assessed and researched before coming to a final conclusion. Your personal intuition always takes primary importance. And finally, while we encourage debate and discussion in the truth discovery process, being disrespectful or being unreasonably disruptive will not be tolerated. Words are powerful, words can change your life, and once you see, you cannot unsee.
Hello,
Hello.
11 viewers.
Hello,
Welcome.
Magick Moments observers.
Magic. Oh, look, I've called it Mindset Magic. Oh, man.
Where?
There.
Well,
I reckon that's in the description.
It's too similar now, isn't it?
It's too similar.
So
It
similar
is.
that it's just so interchangeable.
Well, Kate couldn't get her head around it. When I went to Centre Park, she was like, is it Magic Mindset? And I was like, no, it's
Magic Mindset Moments.
It's Magic Moments.
Moments of
Mindset
Magic.
And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, if we can't get it, no one else is going to get it.
No. Oh my gosh. Should we have a rename?
Oh, I forgot we got a chat. Hello, Emma.
And Emma. Two Emmas.
Hello, the Emmas.
Hello, the Emmas. And hello, Facebook user.
Hello, Facebook user.
That means you're probably watching from the group, and you can select something and then to say yes.
If you want everyone to know who you are.
Yeah. Hi, Charlotte. Oh, hi, Facebook user number 2.
That's what they should be, at least numbered, shouldn't they? So there's differences
Louise.
between them.
Now, Louise, did my post not make sense, or did you forget to put the clocks back? Because there was a comment on my post saying, have I missed the live? And then I thought, oh, I wonder if someone's forgot to put the clocks back.
Well, it always happens every time the clock's changing work that someone's late or early.
What would they be today? Oh no, let's not do that.
No, I'm not doing this because we always, I always get messed up.
Last night was a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah. How many changes do you have to go through? I mean, I'm 42, so how many times has the thing been changed? And I still have to question and work it out. If are we getting an extra hour in bed or 1 hour less in bed?
As a parent, you never get any extra time in bed.
No.
Because, I mean, Hunter... So I didn't change my clock, did I? So Hunter's like, Mummy, it's on the 7. I'm like, no, mate, my clock's wrong. And he's like, oh, well, I want breakfast. And I'm like, oh.
No, the clock's wrong.
Right, anyways, okay. So we're talking about the power of the mind tonight. So I wanted to start with a little exercise that hopefully will make you realise why we want to talk about it, why it's like an important thing. So, and you not got to join in.
I've got to do the exercise.
Yeah.
I don't do exercises.
No, not star jumps.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, we know you do exercise, love.
No.
So what I want you to do is I want you to shut your eyes. I don't know why I'm shutting my eyes. Shut your eyes.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this.
What, shutting your eyes?
On a podcast, yeah.
What, you can't shut your eyes on a podcast?
It's weird because there's like people staring at me and I'm just...
They're not staring at you, they're shutting their eyes.
Oh, right then. Fair enough. Like, no one's staring at me because I'm also...
Because everyone's shutting their eyes. Yeah. Right, okay. Now, what I want you to do is imagine in front of you is a lemon, a really bright, nice, juicy yellow lemon. And I want you to pick up a knife that's next to the lemon and chop it in half. And then pick up half of that lemon and bring it to your nose. And I want you to give it a big sniff. Do sound effects for you. And then I want you to lick it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Has that made your saliva activated in your mouth?
Yes.
Has it really?
Yes.
Oh, good. Can I also ask you, when I said about cutting the lemon, were you thinking about, was it on a chopping board or not?
Yes, it was on a chopping board. Unlike real life, in my simulations, I chop on chopping boards. Yeah.
When I said it, I thought, I know he's going to have a question about how this is being chopped. Do you mean in half this way or in half this way?
No, I assumed you meant the traditional way.
Yeah. So my mouth's watering, and I didn't really take part in the visualization. I was obviously just saying the words, but that's just an example of how the mind affects our physical reality. So that lemon, in theory, was, this is where you'll come in now with all your sciencey stuff, wasn't real. You know, it's just me talking about a lemon. Tell me, Emma said that one of the Emmas said she could taste it and the saliva was going. Oh, you did the lemon face. Oh.
Well, I think a good example for that is the placebo effect. As effectively, that's what that is. So, if you've never heard of the placebo effect or don't know much about it, basically, this is, doctors don't know why this works, but you can, if someone's in hospital, you can give them a sugar pill and they'll get better, or their symptoms will improve to a certain degree, even though there's nothing in the pill. But the belief in the pill working is enough that you can get better from it or improve your symptoms. And doctors do not understand why or how it works, but it does work. It's been recorded 1,000,001 times in all kinds of different studies. So it's a real phenomena that your brain absolutely can heal you, but the power of the belief in whatever it is that you're believing in has the power to heal you.
The brain doesn't know the difference between reality, physical reality, and your thoughts, does it? And so when people were thinking about that lemon, your brain thought there was a lemon, hence why it produced the saliva, made a lemon face. Now, we watched that documentary, didn't we? Heal. Not as in high heel. You say it.
Heal.
Oh, I said it right. Heal. I have trouble, don't I? With
I'm going up the hill.
No, that's hill.
I'm on top of a hill.
Hill.
Heel.
Heel. Hold on a minute. What are you saying?
I'm saying heal.
As in heal yourself.
Heal myself.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, good.
I have trouble with certain words, don't I? Like
with all the words, yeah.
Like wool.
Yeah, wool.
And wool.
And wool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Whale.
Wells.
Wells. You going to well or Wells or Wales?
No, Wales is in the sea.
Oh, there's whales in the sea. I thought you was going to Wales.
No. Which Wales? Wells Cathedral.
Oh, Wells. You were going to Wales now, are you? Oh, you're going on a tour. You've been swimming with the whales in Wales on the way to Wales.
Dan sounded Welsh then. Wow, you used to live in Wales, didn't you?
I lived in Barry Island.
No.
Bwrdd yn hoffi.
Wales.
I lived in Barry Town with my ex-girlfriend for a short time.
Do you know, I didn't know you actually lived in Barry Island.
No, Barry Town, which is just up the road from Barry Island. Barry Island's literally just down the road.
I didn't know you lived there.
Yeah, where Gavin and Stacey was.
I just thought you visited there.
No, I lived there for 6 months.
Well, I know you lived in Wales, but I just didn't know it was there. Anyway.
Yes, that's a side thing there.
Oh, heal. Yeah, very good documentary, wasn't it? The guy healed his back with his mind.
Yeah, well, he had smashed vertebrae.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? He smashed his vertebrae up, and he did intense visualizations, and we're talking like hours a day of visualizations of his back healing. He imagined all of the pieces of his vertebrae coming together, fusing. He read books about it, so he could accurately think in his mind about the image of what his spine would look like. And he's one of these miracle cases where they don't understand how it worked, but he effectively fixed his spine through intense mind work, let's call it.
So this is kind of where law of attraction comes in, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to start with, if you finish your thing, I was going to start with gratitude. And it might sound like
gratitude is a bit like a whimsical thing. Like it's almost like, oh, gratitude, oh yeah, you should be grateful, and then you just move on. You don't really actually think about it. But if you actually really pay attention to what gratitude is, it's basically law of attraction, because what you're doing is you are thinking of something with your mind that you are grateful for. It could be a person, it could be a situation, it could be a house, it could be a holiday, it could be any number of things that you're grateful for, genuinely grateful for. And to if you want to increase that in your life, as in like you want to use the law of attraction and you want to use gratitude for purposes of increasing abundance in your life, then the way you would go about it is that you would process this in your mind. I'm grateful for whatever it is you're grateful for, but you would also go through a process of feelings, because as soon as you start thinking about something intensely, if you actually sit quietly in a room and think about it and go through some kind of exercise where you're really intensely thinking about this thing that you're grateful for, whether it be a person or an object or whatever, then that will bring about certain feelings about it. And when you have that alignment between your thoughts and feelings, that is really powerful for law of attraction, because what a lot of people do is they just think about something on and off over maybe a period of time, and that kind of thing doesn't stick if you're trying to do law of attraction. For anyone who knows about law of attraction, we are going to do law of attraction live fully, but this is just a touch on law of attraction. And so I think a lot of people sort of attempt to use law of attraction, and if you're going to do that, I think gratitude is the way to start with it. I think being grateful for what you've already got and attracting more of that into your life is an easy place to start, rather than like when you go to the law of attraction book and all that and how it describes it, there's a few missing pieces, I think. And we go through that, or I've done in the past with BU and so on, where we actually go through the whole process full. But I think if you want to start thinking about it, or if this is a new subject to you, I think a great place to start is with gratitude and simply going through the process of linking your mind and your feelings together with something that you are already grateful for in your life, something that's already come into your life that you're really grateful for, and start from there and get used to that way of thinking and implementing that in your life. Because from there, then you can start thinking about law of attraction as a bigger picture and start taking more steps and using it in a powerful way. Go on. Sorry, what?
No. Because gratitude raises your vibrational level, right?
Yes.
So that's why it's a good place to start. I think gratitude, law of attraction, obviously we are doing like personal development, self-help stuff, and we are interested in that. I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like because there's so much on it and all the gratitude practices and the books and stuff, and I've fallen into that trap, it kind of waters it down, because it's I don't know, how can I word it?
I think they're quite they repeat each other. It's like they've all copied each other's homework, and so when you hear it a few times, you start to switch off from it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really hit powerfully, because they're just repeating some kind of like original source material someone once had somewhere.
Well, and it's like they've put pink and fluffy on it or whatever to make it appealing, and then it loses its core of what it is. So the other thing I would say with gratitude is there are gratitude journals, there are great like books and stuff, but I think it's really important to like find your own way with it, like find your own thing. And also it's not going to stick. Like I've done written gratitude, I've done visualization at night. I do that quite a lot. I've done it sporadically. I've used a stone, like you call it a totem, don't you? As well. So I think the other thing is knowing that it's not a one size fits all, and B, it's going to shift as well, because as humans we like to have change, don't we? Otherwise we feel like we're copying our own homework if we're just you know that whole write through things you're grateful for. Like I think that people do that
I think that was powerful when it was first used and the first time you ever hear it. But then if you hear it again off someone else and hear it again off someone else and hear it again off someone else, and you've already done it once or twice, then I think then you don't do it. I think I'm trying to think of ways to make it more personal, because I think that it's more likely to stick if it's just personal to you and it only matters to you. That's why totems work, because totems are personal to you. But we're not doing totem live, but
or gratitude live.
or gratitude live. But I think all these things that we're going to be talking about in the podcasts all link together, and they're all part of
a wheel.
A wheel.
So,
a wheel, not a will. A wheel.
God, yeah. No. Why did I pick wheel? I can't say
it. Let's not go for that again. Yeah, it's all part of a wheel, and they're all connected to each other. So we're constantly going to be linking from one to the next, because they all support each other, because everything is interconnected in the universe. Everything is all one. So it all mutually supportive. There is no such thing as anything that's isolated and separate from everything else. That's only an appearance. So I think all of these podcasts are going to link together in some form or other. And so this is like a starting podcast, if you like, on Power of the Mind. But all of the future ones are going to build on stuff that we talk about now. This is like kind of like, if you like, foundation-y stuff of like setting the scene, and then it will build over time.
Yeah, we sat down the other day, didn't we? And so Mindset Magick hopefully is launching in January. I say now hopefully because potentially I'm having an operation. I should know more in a couple of weeks about that, so that could slow it down, but should be launching in January. And we took every topic, didn't we, really, of personal development, self-growth, mindset stuff, and drilled it down to
4 or 5 core elements of what they all are.
Come on, yeah, 5 it is. 5 sort of spokes on a wheel, sections on a wheel. And that's really powerful, I think, because it's an overwhelming, as Olivia said, saturated market. So it's a good sign.
It's a good way to like put where it is,
yeah,
and its relation to the other stuff.
Right, do you want to talk about your example of law of attraction that's happened to you?
Yeah, so I just want to say about law of attraction that everyone's always using law of attraction, whether or not they are conscious of it or not. We are magnets for everything that happens in our life, and because of that, we all have examples, whether or not we know it. Some people are good at using it without knowing they're even using it, and other people are terrible at using it even when they're trying. And the reason is, as I've said before, it's the conflict in yourself that causes the problem. So the universe is reading your mind every moment of the day, but it's also reading your feelings. It's also it's recording, if you like. It's taking into account, and it's reacting to you constantly. And so if you are putting out a confused message, then always the universe is confused about what you want, and so you're going to get random results. So if you're thinking one thing, whatever that may be, I want the job, I want the car, I want this or that, because unfortunately a lot of times it does come down to object seeking, but whatever it may be that your law of attraction when you're doing that, if your thought is in conflict with how you feel, it's not going to happen, because the universe is reading both messages and saying, I want a car, I don't want a car. I want a kid, I don't want a kid. I want a house, I don't want a house.
That's the confusing thing, isn't it, about law of attraction? I think if you read some of the books, the simple like introduction ones, it is along the lines of what you think.
Yeah, just think about it long enough and hard enough and you'll get it.
Yeah, and it's not. It's actually what you believe.
Absolutely, so belief is a key element.
Your subconscious. And that, I think that, and I don't know if anyone has ever used law of attraction or has any experiences, but now me saying about it being belief and Dan saying what he's just said, you might think of a situation that you were trying to manifest that you now think, oh, that's why that didn't happen, because actually your subconscious at your core, there was a lack of belief.
Well, let's say you went for a job, right? I really want this job. In your mind, I really want this job. This job is going to solve a lot of problems for me. If I can get this job, it's going to be great. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you've got issues with your confidence or your self-worth or your self-esteem, then your feeling about the job is not the same as your thoughts. Your feeling is saying, I'm scared of that job. That job's going to put me in I'm going to get exposed. I'm not good enough for this job. I can't do this job. And so if you're at conflict with yourself, the universe is reading the message, I want the job, I can't do the job, don't want the job. So what does the universe do? You're going to get random results, right? But if you were to somehow be able to coordinate your feelings and your thoughts, and then the key element I'm going to add to this, because it's very important, is then you act on that, because we're in this is the plane of effects, right? Cause and effect. This is the plane of effects. This is where you see all of the results of things that are happening in the background, right? Lots of things happen in the background and you just see the result of it, right? The results are all around us. The house that is built, everything that is here, that is all results. They are all effects from causes, right? Originally someone designed this house. There was an architect for this house or whatever, and it was constructed by people who in their mind knew where the walls were going to be built. So all of these things were constructed and part of someone's imagination, which was then made manifest. Okay, so that's where we live, in those worlds of effects. So you've got to go out and do things towards that, because we are living in this, okay, it's not quite physical world, but as it presents as a physical world, this is where we are. So if you do nothing towards a goal, I just sit and think about it, that's not quite the whole picture. That's only part of the picture. Yeah, visualization is great. Do that and go do it in detail and do it properly and add all the senses in there, like Kizzy did with the lemon, right? Add all the senses in there and that'll make it powerful. Have all the feelings about it and feel all the things about it that you need to feel about it. Think about the achievement. If you're trying to achieve something, think what it would feel like to do that achievement and go through that thing. Get on the stage, you get an award or whatever it is you're going for, or whatever you're trying to do. But then you've got to take actual steps towards it. If you do that, you have done all the powerful things that you can do. Of course, belief. I always used to say belief is like pressing the send button on the email to the universe, right? That's what sends that message off. And make sure that the message is correct, right? As I said, if there's any conflict, you're sending a message off to the universe that says, I don't know what I want, effectively. And so this is where we're trying to start with, before we even go into law of attraction, the foundation of what law of attraction actually is, and gratitude, and how they're part of one of the same thing, and how powerful they are to sort of achieve the results that you're looking for.
You talk a lot.
I said a lot in a short space of time, yeah. Well, that is a lie, so I am supposed to talk.
I know, but it's just funny. I forget, because obviously I do a lot of the talking in our house.
Well, yeah, I can't get a word in normally.
Is this your chance?
This is like the outlet, yeah.
Yeah, and then I forget what I'm going to say then, because you don't stop, and then so I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'll say that about that and that about that, and then because
I'll say while you're waiting, then if you're
no.
Oh, okay, go on
No,
then.
I was just going to say, what was I going to say? It was good what I was going to say. Oh, the most useful thing you've ever said to me is that law of attraction is an Amazon Prime. And I always think back to when I won Year of the Year, when I got the top title at Ann Summers. That was because, so I was 4 years on the trot, wasn't I? And so and only the top 3 got recognized. And so in theory, my belief should have been, oh, maybe this isn't for me. But my belief wasn't. I believed that if all these people in this room can do this, and this person on this stage wearing this crown can do it, I can do it. Because I've got the same catalogue, I've got the same kit. So I had that fundamental belief. And even though 4 years on the trot, I got 4th, for some reason, I don't know, I was less impatient when I was younger, I think. And so I just believed it was going to happen, and then it did. However, on the flip side of that, there's been times when I've been manifesting something and then it's not happening. And so then I'm just like, oh, well, that's that then. Because I've forgotten the very fact that it is not Amazon Prime. But yeah, it's just a good example.
I think a lot of people sort of go into that whole idea that if I think of it today, tomorrow it will arrive. And so I just think this is like a long-term thing. And you've got to also take into account that this is not your personal virtual reality simulator that we're living in here. Everyone is a part of the same simulator, and they're all trying to create their own law of attraction and do their own things, whether they know it or not. So it works more in the aggregate. This is why people recruit people, right? Because when you magnify what you want over other people, then you're getting the joint powers of multitude of people to do what you want, right? That's how governments work, right? The government wouldn't work if it was one person and no one else worked for the government, and one person was saying, I reckon we should do this, and everyone else went, well, I don't reckon we should, and what are you going to do about it? So it only works because effectively everyone is pooling together and, roughly speaking, looking at the same goals and trying to push in the same direction. So you're literally, that is part of law of attraction. That is making things happen. And effectively, people really subconsciously, I think, know this is how it works, really. But I think some of these things come out and it's a bit confusing. I don't think it's like some magical special key that they make it out to be like, oh, you know, this is a magical thing that only people thousands of years ago knew, and now we've just realized it again. I think it's just subconsciously there underneath all the time for everyone, and some people just intuitively use it and some people don't.
When I was 16 and 17, and I know you know this, and I used to go out clubbing, that's how I used to pool. So I used to spot someone in the club that I thought was fit, and then I just used to sit there and be like, you're gonna kiss me over and over and over again until...
If you've seen June, she's using the voice. If you haven't seen June, you don't know what I'm talking about.
No.
If you've seen Star Wars, she's using the Force. It's all the same thing, same story.
But I'm grateful because it sounds a bit woo-woo, doesn't it, always? But obviously I've told people that I'm out with, oh, see that guy, like, watch this, and then I've got to work in my head. So I do often think, I wonder if they were ever like, oh, why did I kiss her? Well, afterwards.
So
anyway, that's how I got you.
Just to before I forget, just to throw in my law of attraction story, I'll just quickly say that so me and Kizzy have struggled to have kids, and we sort of basically been trying for, well, a very long time.
Which is my own law of attraction issue, because do you remember when I used to ask Dad early on, like, have I got a problem with conceiving with tarot?
Well, you've always been paranoid about it.
A fundamental belief, a belief that there was something wrong.
Well, you was always told that because your mum had trouble and all that kind of thing, that you would have trouble and all that. So it is partly to do with belief. But obviously then you went down to one ovary, so you only got half a chance anyway. But yeah, so there's fertility things there, right? But for me, I always and I don't know why I did it in this way. I can't tell you why I thought this way. But when I imagined a child, I didn't think of a baby in arms or anything like that. I thought of a 2-year-old boy, specifically a 2-year-old boy. And my vision that I used to always think about constantly was me walking on the beach, holding the hand of this toddler, this 2-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy. That's just how it happened in my mind. I didn't choose those things consciously. The image appeared when I thought about it. It just made itself. And the image was me behind myself, watching it from behind, which we had a discussion today about dreams, how you're always not in the view of the person, but you're actually watching yourself in the dream, which is weird. But that, in my vision, that's how it was. And then we adopted a boy who was 2 years old, blonde and blue-eyed. So you could say, well, that's coincidence. But I've already said, everything that is manifest here is the effect, not the cause. So you're witnessing the effect of something when we had him, not the cause. The cause wasn't us. The cause had already happened. The effect was that he came to us. And so some people, if you believe in law of attraction, whatever, then that's what happened. If not, then you don't believe that, and that's fine.
Well, and we had a conversation afterwards, didn't we? And realised that we'd both been having the set. So I'd done the same thing. Visualising being a mum, I didn't visualise a baby. I visualised us as a family with a little tot who was a boy. And he was blonde-haired and blue-eyed. And I'll tell you the weirdest thing. I bought, and it's still in my wardrobe actually, so for law of attraction purposes, I bought a newborn baby grow, ready for when I brought our little baby home. So although every time I visualized, I was thinking of a tot, like I never, me and you were not for adoption, were we, at all? Like that
it wasn't on my radar whatsoever.
No, like we would not have children, wouldn't we, rather than adopt.
I mean, later on we talked about fostering. We thought, like, should be foster if we can't have children, like maybe we could like provide a home for some kids or whatever, and mentoring and that kind of thing.
But yeah, so yeah, so I bought this, and it was Peter Rabbit, and it was grey, and it's neutral, but it's more boyish than girl, because I always felt like I would have a boy. And the weirdest thing was Hunter came home, didn't he, with that big Peter Rabbit book.
Yeah.
On the day he came home, and remember I had a to-do list which had Peter Rabbit on, and a weekly planner, sorry, and that's when I used that weekly planner by accident to write out the week we were picking him up from the foster woman, and it was Peter Rabbit, and so just ever so strange.
And we always say, isn't it weird that on our honeymoon we stayed at Hunter's Rest, right? So before we got him, so we got married 2013. Afterwards, we went and stayed at the pub before going away on our honeymoon, and the pub name was Hunter's Rest. So literally resting before Hunter came. So we always find that weird, but that was called that because it could have been called anything, obviously. So, are you going next or me?
No, well, you can go, but I was just going to say, I was just bringing it back really to the title of, when you think about all of that, this is why the power of the mind is so important.
Well, think about how many light bulbs you've blown up when you've done your carry thing, and you've blown up the telly, and you've blown up various electrical objects.
Does anyone else do that? Like, pop in the comments. So Dan's not joking. Like, that's actually true. So there was a situation with us which wasn't great, and I was super angry at him, like really angry, like almost saw red, and then the TV exploded.
But just on a day-to-day basis, where we used to live, we used to have like lamps all around the room, like on the walls, and they used to just take turns popping, like sometimes 2 in a night, just pop, and then they're supposed to last, a couple of years or whatever, but they would last a matter of weeks or months. Anytime she had a funny do, pop, 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 all the lights go.
Well, and our lights haven't stayed here. All the electrics are, and they're all new, aren't they?
Yeah.
In our house.
Yeah.
We've had whole new rewiring, and the kitchen electrics don't work fully. The electrics on the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, when Kizzy gets angry, to me, everything goes into slow motion, and I start moving away, and then like some kind of serious background music plays, like I'm in a film, and then Kizzy's like in slow motion, and then all the balls start go, and there's all these like lightning effects, and I'm like running for cover through the kitchen like that. That's what just in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so emotional as I used to be, and actually less things break. But I used to always break phones, didn't I?
Yeah.
They just used to like explode,
just blow up. Yeah.
Yeah, and laptops.
Oh god.
Because I used to work on my laptop and then get really frustrated about it.
Yeah, things. If she hit the wrong key, the laptop would explode because then she'd get angry about it.
So yeah, I mean, that's all to do with the power of the mind and vibration and stuff.
Absolutely. Just see if there's any comments. Someone said, "Oh, loving the podcast." Okay, I'm very selective about what comments I read. Anyway, so
I can't even see. Did you just make that up?
No, it's on there. I ignored all the rest. This one thinks we're great, brilliant.
Dan looks handsome tonight.
Yeah, this is how you see positive mindset, but not positive mindset like that, whereby, as in like this whole fake positivity thing, which I hate, which I'll discuss one day. Anyway.
Yeah, I need to discuss that, actually.
I can't stand fake positivity bullshit.
So, toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Like, so I sort of agree with that, but I think it's got muddled again. And so now there's, anyway, it's a whole nother topic. We must talk about that because I think that's, I want to talk about that. Anyway, go on.
Okay. So I'll read what I put here because then we'll talk about it. But what I put here is you can't kid the universe. The universe is truth-based. That means to say that the universe is there are things that are true about the universe that cannot be changed by a human being, right? Cannot be altered, right? So to make use of gratitude and law of attraction, you have to know the truth about yourself. And this comes into play with the conflict of understanding yourself and understanding your own triggers, understanding your own pains, your own traumas, your own whatever's happened to you in your life, understanding how that affects you and how that blocks your law of attraction. Like I said, with the job interview thing, whereby you feel low self-worth and therefore that doesn't give you the feels about a job because although you want the job mentally, feelings-wise, you don't feel you're capable of doing it. So as one example of that. So you have to know the truth about yourself objectively, factually, and as unbiased as possible. And you do this not in a blaming way, not in a critical way, not in a shaming way or otherwise. You've got to deprogram those kind of apps that everyone has in their mind these days, of these self-critical, highly critical, shaming apps, as I like to call them, whereby you download some. It might be a father, a mother, a brother, a friend, someone who is says things to you that stick in your mind, that are negative things that you then play back to yourself, because it goes into your subconscious mind, which is a tape. It gets recorded and it's played back to you. You might even play it in their voice when it's said to you, right? Certain criticisms, right? Certain people that have placed in your mind limiting beliefs because they're projecting their issues onto you, right? Their insecurities are being projected onto you by their voice, literally projected it into your brain, you recording it and you playing it back to yourself, and you limiting yourself from doing the things you want to do. So, not in a blame way, and not in a critical way, and not in a shaming way. Take responsibility for yourself. Okay. There's a lot of people out there, you can probably think of people yourself, who really don't take responsibility for themselves or their actions. You will never feel more powerful, more in control, or more peaceful, more balanced than when you live in that kind of mindset where you take responsibility for your actions, but you're not there being overly critical or shaming of yourself. It's looking at yourself objectively and saying, what I did there was right, what I did there was wrong, what I should have done there was this, and that's okay. Next time I'm going to do that. This kind of talk, rather than you idiot, you moron, why did you do that? That's just so dumb. Or that kind of really offensive talk to yourself. And that kind of like, I'm going to say like inappropriate talk to yourself, really. I mean, if you talk like that to someone else, I mean, these days you can probably get arrested for it, right? So it's just about just taking responsibility for yourself and taking the power from that thing. It's so powerful when you do that. And so many people like are scared to take responsibility for their actions because they don't want to be held accountable, right? But being held accountable is the most powerful thing, because every time you do something positive, it's reinforced 1,000 times over. And every time you do something negative, it can't ever be used against you, because you're taking it on and you're doing something with it yourself. So when anyone tries to use it against you, you're like, yeah, I'm already dealing with that. I know about that. Thanks. It's not a weakness. It's not something I'm hiding away. It's not a box that you can find and take something out and shame me with, because I've opened the box myself and I'm working on the thing. And there's nothing you can say about it because I'm already doing it. Why don't you work on yourself? What are you interfering for? Just made up a whole scenario there for you.
Who was that?
Who was that person? I'm angry at them, whoever it is.
Can I do an example?
Yeah, go on.
So I think this is my mindset, as you know, like is, well, you would say is strong, right?
Absolutely.
And I think however, I'm a very emotional person, but I think that's a reason for the strength. So going back to what Dan said about like knowing and owning and thinking. So one of the things that I do is sort of reflect on things. So I feel it all in the moment and I think all these things, and often Dan has to hear my thoughts. And then, yeah, like Louise said, kind of like reframing, but actually thinking about, okay, what's the trigger and what's the alternative kind of narrative? So not last birthday, but I think it was the birthday before, the first birthday without mum. And it wasn't to do with losing mum as such, but mum always used to make a fuss because I was the only child, and my birthday's in January. So it's just 15th of January. No one's been paid. It's just crappiest time to have a birthday. Anyway, and I didn't get any cards, did I? Not a single card. And I think that was the time you didn't get me a card. And do you remember? And I was just literally bawling my eyes out in the front room.
Vaguely.
And I had no presents, no cards, and I was devastated. Like my feelings were like absolute devastation. And I ranted at Dan, and he came back and said, "Oh yeah, but this and that and the other." And of course, you don't want to hear it at the time, but when I reflected on it and I really thought about it, the thing was anybody sat at home thinking, I'm not going to send Kizzy a card because I don't care about her? Like, that's not what happened. Like, for whatever reason, and there's multiple reasons, including the fact I don't really do birthday cards for other people. You know, like my friendship circle don't really do that. And so what I needed to dig underneath all of that was what the trigger was. And the trigger's all to do with stuff from childhood, which is where it always tends to lead back to. And this feeling of not having friends, not being good enough. So when people put on Facebook their birthday presents and cards and say what a wonderful day they've had, and they've got all this stuff on show, because I had nothing like that. And I interpreted that as me not being good enough, me not being worthy. But that's just crap, because no one had the intention when they didn't do it, did they?
No.
So that's why it's so powerful, because now when I think back to that memory, it feels different and it looks different, and it takes the power out of all of that stuff, whereas I could have carried that forward from that moment. So yeah, that's my little example.
So to finish on that note, just
backache.
To finish that sort of that statement is, the truth is objective and it cannot be bargained with, reasoned with, altered or controlled. So you either have to bend to it, or you're going to live a lie, right? If you don't live by the truth, then you're living by the lie. If you're living by a lie, you subconsciously know that, and if you subconsciously know that, and that's always gnawing at you, if you're living that lie, then you're going to live a life of regret. So it's a really good idea, I feel, to go through the process of this, whatever you want to call it, self-development and all that stuff, whatever you want to call it. It's a really good idea to progress yourself forwards all the time, as much as you can, and
not do what I do, which is where I've done the self-help honeymoon period.
Yeah.
So initially I, would dive into stuff, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm fixed, kind of. That kind of like, well, I don't need to read that anymore. I don't need to journal anymore. I don't need to listen to those podcasts anymore. Like my mind, because when you start doing this growth stuff and start working on your mindset, the calm and the peace that comes over you lulls you into a false sense of security, or it did me anyway. And that's something, I mean, really recently, like I've had to jump in and out of it to recognize it and know that it's got to be, it doesn't have to be consistent, as in like, oh, you have to do this every single day.
Yeah, it's not like journaling every day or doing all of like exercises every day about it, but it's like keeping your mind on it, sort of thing. It's always in the background of your mind, and every now and again you're picking up a book, or every now and again you're watching a documentary or something to do that is gonna,
or tuning into Magic Moments podcast,
or you tune it once a week to on 9 o'clock on a Sunday, Magic Moments, which sometimes is called Moment Magics, or sometimes it's called all kinds of things really to do with magic. So you could do that. So obviously then, if you're looking at the opposing things that will block all the stuff that we've talked about, all the gratitude and all the law of attraction, that would be things like feelings of oppression, victimhood, unfairness. Whether or not that is true is irrelevant, right? Doesn't matter if you're being oppressed or not being oppressed. It doesn't matter if you're being a victim or you actually are a victim. It doesn't matter if things have been unfair to you or they're not unfair to you. Your perception of those things are what's important. If you feel oppressed, victimized, things have been unfairly done to you, and you're living in that mindset of poor me, basically, or in various ways, whether true or not, poor you're creating more of that, because you're thinking that and you're feeling that. So you're living in alignment with yourself, but your alignment is towards these negative aspects of life, rather than the other alternative of living in gratitude of wow, I'm the luckiest person because I live at a time of the greatest abundance humankind has ever known. All the billions of people that have lived on this planet lived and died, and between 1950 and 2019, the most abundant time of all time. I also happen to live in the UK, one of the richest countries in one of the richest areas of that abundance, and I live in this time period, and I happen to have been born successfully without injury or whatever, and I've lived a reasonably good life. I've got food and I've got a house and all these things. Like, if all these things actually genuinely think about it and matter to you and create those feelings, all those things create the positive side. But equally, feelings of oppression, victimhood, and unfairness, true or not, is irrelevant, will also create more of that thing. And if you're living in that way of method of thinking, poor old me, effectively, then poor old you is what you're going to get, because that's what the universe thinks you want. That's what you're saying to the universe all the time. Not just through your sort of thoughts and feelings, but through your actions, because you're going to act in that way too. It's going to be expressed in that way.
Yes.
She agrees. So effectively then you have to take control of your experience, and you have to understand that the goal of many other people, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, is to take control of your powers, right? That is to say that they want you to be aligned with what they think. So they're always trying to change your mind to what they think. And that has been prevalent, especially recently. But everyone's always trying to get you to think like them and follow what they do. And they're going to magnify their law of attraction, whether they know they're doing that or not. And they're going to they're going to recruit you. So you have to be resistant to that, because if you want to...
You don't mean recruit, like you probably need to reword it.
Well,
like,
they're going to get you on board with their way of thinking in some way or other.
Yeah.
Whether that, there's various ways that could be. It could literally be convincing you to their point of view against your intuition, maybe even. And then you help perpetrate what their view is and push their agenda effectively.
I've seen that so many times where people have literally almost word for word spouted something that they've heard on the radio or read in the paper or seen on the TV, and you can tell that they've not had any critical thought themselves about it. They're just repeating it, but they repeat it as if that is their belief, their thought.
Like they've thought about it for a long time. I've had it where I've gone in the mess room at work, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a train driver, and we go in the mess room at work, right, at Bristol or wherever, and I've seen them all with the metros out, right? And there's a headline on the metro at the front, right? There's a TV room in there, and you hear BBC's on all the bloody time. So you hear the newspaper headline being repeated on BBC, because they all say the same thing, right? It all comes out all at the same time. They all say the same thing, sometimes using the exact same words, almost like there's some kind of script going on between them all. And then what happens is I'm just sat there, and then someone will put the paper down and go, God, have you seen that thing about the thing? And they'll use the exact same headline or the words that they've just read and repeat it to me as though it's like brand new information, and it's something that like I wouldn't have considered, even though I'm also sat in front of the metro. And I just find it fascinating how quickly and how easily people can be swayed to one way or another, whatever that way may be. It's actually scary, especially in recent times.
I'm gonna get you. That's a song. Do you know that?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, and you always say I'm a salesman's dream, because I do that, don't I?
Oh my God, yeah. We've even bought things off. Those are like QVC, is it? We once bought a dragon picture off there because you was getting into QVC.
We never ever put that up, did we?
No, well, we did briefly. Hey, it was only one of 500 run. It's precious.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy done. By the way, like when we're saying stuff like this isn't judgment from us.
From experience, mostly.
Yeah, I was going to say, because yeah, it is. And we've done it, still do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Emma's singing that song with me now. One way or another. Right, anyway, go on then.
So the way that this is mostly done, there's two main ways, and that is through fear and inspiration. So this is the way of how do you get someone to follow you? How do you get someone to do what you want them to do? You have to make them scared of you, or they have to be inspired by you. Or you could replace the word inspire with respect, right? If you can create respect to the person, they'll follow you. They're the two main ways. So you have to come up with your own mind and have a think about all the different people you know and all the different companies you've worked for, or companies that you've dealt with, or the government, or whoever, and ask yourself the question: when they're trying to get you to do something, are they using fear or inspiration? Because they're the two ways that basically boils down to. I mean, effectively, I'm doing it right now, right? I'm attempting to inspire in you like personal sovereignty, like ownership of yourself, and creating your own national boundaries around yourself, personal responsibility and control over yourself. I'm trying to inspire that in you, because I believe that serves the individual in the best way. And all collectives are made up of individuals, right? So whatever collective you serve, you choose to put your energy in, your work, your government, your religion, your cult, whatever you do in your spare time, they're all made up of individuals. And if your individuals are all brainwashed, sort of like I read the headline and I follow what it says and that's all I do, then you're effectively slaves for those institutions. Where if you're an individual with your own mind and your own critique and your own opinion, and you feel assertive enough to put that out there, then wherever you are will be made up of individuals and will also reflect that. And I think that a society that lived in that way would probably be a better society than what we currently have, my opinion.
Well, I think this is like almost a missing jigsaw piece that doesn't really get talked about. In that, there's plenty of people out there that are trying to improve themselves and are trying to help their mind, and mental health is a massive subject at the moment.
Yeah.
And that is all wonderful, but it's almost like, it just all boils down to you and what's in your head, which is a massive part of it. But this is why we're talking about this bit as well, is because it's being aware, isn't it, of everyone around you.
Yeah, and it's hard as well.
Their programming and their situations and their, like you say, what their intentions are. Because you can work on your mind and you can work on your mental health, but if you still... People use a lot of distractions, don't they? So alcohol, social media, TV, shopping, there's a lot of things.
The bread and circuses.
Yeah, that they're using, that people use. And again, not judgment. I mean, I've got a very unhealthy relationship at the moment with a game, haven't I done?
Your bird game, yeah.
My bird game, my garden, my little garden. I can't... Do you know, I used to think, what are people doing when they used to talk about their farms on their tablets? But
now it's you.
Now it's me, yeah. So this isn't coming from judgment. This is coming from this whole, like, be aware. Like, I'm very aware of when I play that game, what it means, what I'm hiding from, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm much more critical thinking about what I read, what I see, because otherwise, how can I truly help my mental health and my mindset? So yeah, that's why it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think let's say improving your filter between you and the world.
I like that.
I think think of it like that. And I think that'll help your mental health a lot more if your filter for the world is better.
Being an empath, yeah. I think we should do I think that should be a topic. I'm writing it down. I think that's important.
Okay. Well, if we're doing empathy, I think we've got to do the common twin, which is the narcissist.
Yes.
Because empaths normally come with the narcissist. Although you don't. Hang on a minute. Well, you did, but you don't now.
I did, yeah.
But yeah, so we will do an empathy narcissist podcast because it's very interesting. And most empaths, the majority of empaths, if I describe the narcissist to them, there's probably one in their life right there and then. But at least, if not right in that moment, that in the past they've had a narcissist follow them because they are attracted to each other like flies and shit. Sorry, go on.
Imagine if they're watching the podcast next.
Next to their partner, and their partner's going, "I hate this podcast," turning off.
So yes, we'll do that. Okay. You've got your last bit, and then I got me. I've decided we're going to end on a quote. Every time, which Dan probably wants to vomit at, but I just think it's a nice...
I don't mind.
A nice thing. I phrased it as a meme because if any of you don't follow Dan, if you like humor, then it's a good idea to friend request him or follow him because you put a meme out every single day, don't you?
Most days, yeah. If I'm not always on social media every day, but most days.
Yeah. Just for amusement purposes.
For my own amusement, and if someone else wants to chuckle along with it, by all means.
I mean, I sort of 80% for me. 20%, I don't know what you're talking about. And 80%, I know.
They're really good percentages for me, so I'll leave it at that. So I just want to end with, so freedom is very it's just like it's almost like gratitude. It's one of those things, oh yeah, freedom. Everyone believes in freedom, don't they? Everyone believes in freedom until someone's freedom goes over them and then they don't like freedom. But freedom, if you believe in it truly, truth and for the good of all, what we've discussed in regards to the law of attraction and gratitude and so on, is the best pathway towards a greater consciousness And that might sound a little bit to some like a bit wishy-washy, or a little bit like, or spiritual stuff, or, oh, I'm scared of all that, I don't want to talk about that, I don't care about that, or whatever. Just think of it like this. If you're a certain personality type, it might be better to explain it in terms of like, you can raise your numbers, right? You can raise your game by following this sort of thing. And if you were to do that, and a lot of other people were to do the same, then the aggregate of human race, the vibration of the human race, the energy level of the human race, the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that that aggregate vibration would be higher if we all did this. And if everyone was to move towards that, the problems that we have in the world today, they would kind of solve themselves, because a lot of the problems are brought about by the aggregate human consciousness being low and getting lower, more than likely. And because of that, people in a low consciousness, but low vibration, low thoughts, low moods, low feelings, create more of that around them. And if there's a lot of those people, they're going to create a lot of that around them all around the world. If there was a general consensus amongst at least a good number of people that they wanted to make self-improvements, that would raise the consciousness and likewise raise the mood, the thoughts and the feelings and the actions of the people. And lots of issues that we have today would just be solved. They would just be solved. In many cases, the solution is already exists and just need to be implemented. But those kind of things, I know it might sound like a bit of a pipe dream to some people, like, oh yeah, and we could all live, in La La Land and happy ever after and do Ring Ring Roses. But
live at Disney.
It doesn't make it less true what I'm saying. And it's the same kind of thing of, well, in the 70s, no one recycled, right? Now everyone recycles, and the argument against recycling was, well, if I recycle and no one else is, what's the point, right? Well, we all did recycle, and now we all do recycle, whatever you think about that. And now it's just a common thing that everyone just does and doesn't think twice about it. You just do it, right? Well, likewise, things can change. Slavery, actual physical slavery, used to exist in the world, all over the world. It still does to this day, but it used to exist all over the world, and it was common practice, and no one thought a thing about it. It wasn't thought of as being immoral in any way. Nowadays, slavery is obviously viewed in a very negative moral light and so on. And it's almost like, how could possibly slaves have ever existed? But that is, virtually everyone thought that slaves were okay and fine, and they'd been from the day dot all the way up until recent times and even today. And it was just a normal thing. So things can change, and it just takes people to think, okay, I'm going to do it for me. It's going to improve my life and the life of people around me who I interact with, and that's all enough for me. I mean, if everyone thought that would do it as well. It doesn't have to be some grandiose of, I'm going to change in the world, I'm off to save the planet. It can just literally be, I'm going to improve all my relationships and my work life and my home life and everything by improving all the little things and my mindset and all the little things I can do. And that's all I can do. And that's all, the only power I truly have in the world is over myself. I don't have power over anyone else, and I shouldn't really desire that. My only desire should be to improve my life, and thereby, because I improve my life and myself, the life of everyone around me. So that's why I want to end on.
As an empath, like, that's really important, because so back when I was even a child, an Earth Song by Michael Jackson was out. I used to listen to it on my Walkman, so I'm that old, on tape. And
you used to put the gramophone on.
And I used to cry. And like, I used to do it every night, because back then it was all the stuff about all the starving children in Ethiopia and like all the terrible things about that, and there's a hole in the ozone layer and all of that. And I just used to, because I couldn't solve it all myself personally, like, that's what I wanted to do. And I still have that desire, and I have to really check myself, because what tends to happen, so like, what in the past I wouldn't have had Hunter, because if I can't take every child, I'd rather take no children. Like, that was the kind of way that I was, because I couldn't cope with those emotions. But I've learned that exactly what Dan's just said, really, is that if I do my bit, then it creates a ripple.
You do your bit for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I'm happy and I've got a happy life, but also that ripple is extended, because now Hunter's in that ripple, and now Hunter is such a wonderful boy, and he's creating positive ripples. I mean, I got told yesterday, didn't I, twice by two different people, what a lovely boy he is, and he created positive ripples around him. So yeah.
You can't. I know this is like a bit of a cliche, right? But there's that saying of you've got to be the change you want to see, right?
Yeah.
You can't expect everyone else to do the changes for you. I expect the world to be like this, and everyone else has got to go out and do that. But you yourself are just going to carry on, doing what you're doing, whatever that may be. If you're not doing things towards it, law of attraction, taking actual positive steps towards yourself, you can't expect other people to be doing those things, and you can't expect the world to be any different way. It all starts at home, and at home is the only thing that you can control. And people talk about karma and whatnot. You're not in control of anyone else's karma. You're in charge of your karma. If someone comes over, right, and just basically fucks you off or messes you up or whatever, look, we're allowed to swear. It's after 10 o'clock.
So you should not try to swear, Hunter.
If someone comes and messes you up in whatever way they mess you up, right, and do all their stuff, right, and you can say, well, I'm going to get them back and get revenge. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hate them. I'm going to do all the things. And I understand all those emotions, absolutely. But ultimately, really, truly, they're responsible for their karma and they've done some bad stuff. So what will come to them will come to them. If you respond in kind, what will come to you will come to you. Now, I'm not saying that I'm necessarily even against revenge or anything like that. By the way, like there is such a thing as a balance between.
It's like a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I can see the rabbit hole. That's why I'm scared. I'm skirting around the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole.
Because what I'll just say as my last comments, there's a difference between violence and there's a difference between force, and that there's nothing wrong with force, but there is something wrong with violence. And violence is to violate a person's right to living a peaceful life, unharmed and unmolested, let's say. You're perfectly acceptable to use force, which is the self-defense principle, which is nothing wrong with that. So I'll explain more on another podcast on all that stuff.
That's a whole other.
That is another podcast, but that is where I'll end it on that.
But ultimately, so the whole purpose of this live really is hopefully for you guys to remember. And because I there's nothing new here, I wouldn't have thought to anybody, is to remember how powerful your mind is and the effect that it has on all aspects of your life and the world in general. And maybe take just a little reflection like this week of what you're doing, what you could do, that kind of thing. And yeah, reconnect perhaps with the law of attraction. You look like you want to say something then.
No.
No? Okay. Yeah, reconnect with the law of attraction and start to make it work for you again, make it work for you better, make it work for you for the very first time, whatever. So I'm going to end on this quote, which I was going to test Dan on live, and then I felt mean in case he didn't know it, but he did know it actually. So hats off to you. Name this film and bonus points for the character. So you have to let it all go. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind. Is from your
do you want them to answer it?
Your favorite film? Well, no, because people might do it on catch up as well, mightn't they?
All right, then. That's from The Matrix. That was Morpheus to Neo, the jump scene.
Yeah. So hope that's been a helpful podcast, guys, live cast, whatever we're doing.
Yeah, so we're continuing with the lives for now, because when we said about would you rather have a podcast, which is a pre-recorded sort of conversation between me and her, or would you prefer a live, which is more interactive, and so on, then everyone said live. Well, I don't think we had a single person say podcast. So this is a podcast live pod.
Magic
pod
moments,
live.
Mindset, magic
moment, magical podcast live is what it is.
We're basically rubbish at naming things, clearly.
Yeah. So that's what this is. If you were like confused.
And next week we don't know what we're talking about, but it'll be something.
Well, I've got 2 or 3 things of what it could be actually written out, but we just have to decide which one we're doing. But we'll post in the week what we're actually going to do for next week.
And our inboxes are open, so if you guys want to talk about anything or want us to obviously,
always can suggest whatever you want to us. If there's specifics you want us to delve deeply into and discuss like properly, as long as it takes longer than an hour, obviously.
Use his brain to unpick. He's very good at unpicking stuff. So like if there's something you struggle with, wasn't it? You unpicked one of my friends all to do with jealousy and comparison and stuff. Like, so yes, there's something you're struggling with, then I'll set down on you.
Yeah, which is fine.
Right. Done?
Done.
Done diddly dum?
Done.
Dum dum. Dum dum. Okie dokie. Right. So we will have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll see you same time next week.
See you on Sunday.